Alrighty. Let's see what we got. Okay. Looks like sound is working to me, so that looks pretty good. Looks like everything else is doing pretty good. Okay. So, what do we got? We have the last of the Masters of the Universe, like, starter box set. Starter pack, I guess. Because it's the starter set minis plus like 2 other boxes. So these are the last of all of those. These include kind of like the 3 like main characters, I guess. So we're going to be doing Skeletor, He-Man, and Teela today. And to be honest, I'm quite happy with how a lot of these have turned out. Even for characters I don't like Ram Man, right? I think the minis look super cool, actually all painted up. And ones that I do really like Merman or Trapjaw, I think are just fantastic. Like, I am just absolutely in love with how they came out. Merman especially. I think Merman is probably my favorite of the minis. Trapjaw and Beastman are up there though, for sure. They look really, really fun. There's Beastman. And I hate to say it, but this stupid character, like Stratos or Windows or whatever the fuck his stupid name is, his mini is actually really nice. It's got a really cool sense of motion to it. It's super cool. But yeah, they've been very fun. I've been super enjoyed them. Weird ass Orko was very fun to paint, even though if you look very closely, the dots on his like black face mask thing under his hood where his eyes are, those actually aren't the dots on the mini for the eyes. They're actually slightly off, but honestly you really can't tell unless you know that. Skeleglow's weird, like Calvin Klein, like, I don't know, male porn star pose is strange to me, but he's a weird character in general. Man-at-Arms came out very nice as well. I was quite happy with him. But yeah. So today we will be doing He-Man and Skeletor and Teela. Bonk. So let's check their art out, and then we'll figure out what colors to paint them. Okay, He-Man up first. So He-Man, bonk. His art and toy actually seem pretty close. So we've got a silver sword and shield. We've got orange wrist bracers, orange belt, yellow hair, and brown loincloth and boots. I think we're going to do the belt and the vamp bracers in gold. I think that's what we're going to do. And there's our man Skeletor, actually. So we're looking at light blue body, purple gear, and they have him with like kind of like a glowing green skull color. I think I'm actually going to paint that like real skull color. And Teela is lots of gold on white, pretty much. I do got some. There's some more Teela. She has a lot of gold on white. And here's some more skeletor. That's a fancy skeletor. But yeah, same kind of idea. Where's the original? There he is. Alright, so I guess he did kind of have a glowy face, I guess. Huh. I always thought he had like a more of like an actual skeleton face, not like a glowy skull. Is there an option for like the show? Original. Oh. Oh, even in the show he had kind of a glowy face. Although it's more yellow there than it is. That does kind of look more skull colored, to be honest, than the green. Alright, well we'll aim for that, because I think that looks pretty cool. So, I need to get some, need to grab some paints real quick. See, do we still have Diabolic Plum over there? I think we do. And then I want this one for that. And like spaceship exterior. Yes. All right, we got some colors. We got some colors. Okay, let's go back to the painting table. Now that we got some colors, and we can check them out. So, Skeletor's skin's kind of a light blue. So we're gonna be using Game Color Electric Blue for that. Man, I was not prepared for today, apparently. Oh, my paint water's all super nasty. What is this? I was not prepared at all. Don't have any of my paintbrushes over here. What is happening? Alright, well actually let me swap my paint water out, so I'll be back in 1 second. And I will be right back. I'll be back. Whoosh! Okay, I'm back. Paint water acquired for the finale of He-Man. Oh, okay. So, Skeletor skin color up first. Oh, man. Yeah, we'll just blop some blue in here. We're gonna end up hitting everything else, but that's fine. We we will be cleaning that up later. Oh, but yeah, these He-Man minis have been fun. They've been very different, which is interesting. And you know, He-Man's a show without like a lot of like goons. Well, I mean, it has a lot of goons in it, but I mean like a lot of like generic soldiers, right? It doesn't really have that. So it means that really kind of like every one of these models is a character, which is kind of fun, right? And it's a character with existing art and background and stuff, so like you don't have to make it up yourself, you know. That's kind of fun. You can you know, it's been fun to look up the colors and then pick them and be like, oh, what slightly different version of Skeletor are we gonna do, you know? It's kind of cool. Because on the box art for this game, they painted everything like the toys, which I think is fun. But in my like brain, like archetypical, right, is kind of more like the show, to be honest, I think. So I think that's why we'll do stuff like Skeletor's face in kind of the more bone color, because that's what he looked like on the show. These minis also have a lot of detail, but they don't have extraneous detail. Like, there are times where I really love minis with just tons of random fucking detail. Like, the miniatures I always point to for that are the Death Guard from Games Workshop. They just have nothing but ludicrous tiny detail for no reason. There's just maggots and tentacles and this and that and just like everywhere. And it's fantastic. But sometimes I also don't feel like painting that, right? I kind of want something a little more basic. And you know, these minis are super, super good for that. Gonna have to move you two. The camera's trying to focus on you, not on our boy Skeletor here. So, now it's trying to focus on everybody else. Man, now I gotta move these bros too. Go over here, homies. That's what I get for... Alright, now there is nobody else for you to focus on. You trying to focus on the paints? Get out of here. What you doing? But yeah, so we got some of our blue down. So we'll push him off to the side there. And I'm going to grab He-Man. Now He-Man, when we were doing some of the other characters' skin, I did hit He-Man's skin. And that is with Kobold Skin from Army Painter. This is the old paint name. There's a new paint name for this one. I just don't remember what it is, because I haven't had to buy a bottle of it yet, because I have like 3 of these, because when I learned the paints were changing, I bought like 3 different fucking bottles of that, because I love Kobold Skin. It's legitimately like my favorite skin paint. So so yeah, so I have a whole bunch of it. So alright, there we go. But that being said, it always needs more than one coat. So we got to touch him up. Now I do think the color I used for his panties is a little dark. It probably should be a lighter color, but honestly I think it's gonna, that brown being a little darker, I think it's gonna add some contrast. That's cool. So I think we'll leave that. We're gonna use that same brown for the boots anyway. But yeah, man, these have been enjoyable, been fun and different. I've got to still do their bases, but I'm just going to do that whenever. That's the kind of thing I'll do at like 9 p.m. at night before I go to bed, you know? It's not really a stream kind of thing. Because what I'm going to do with the bases for these guys is I'm actually going to paint all the bases the same. And then I'm going to go back and pick out the unique details in each one in unique colors. But like the base like stone color and rim color and everything's going to be the same. So that I can try to have a little bit of normality between the models. It's a little hard to do with custom unique bases per character. But I think this will be a good way to add to it. Okay. So that's He-Man's skin all done. Almost. See the finger there. Top of the shoulder. Alright, that's He-Man's skin all done. Hello! No, Teela's got a couple coats on her skin already, but we'll clean it up and hit it as well. And I'm super tempted to use the same browns on Teela that I use on He-Man. I'm going to use the same gold and the same silver for her, so. Gotta get her booba. Okay. Alright, now we'll set them off to the side to dry. And we will hit in some of the colors for our buddy Skeletor here. This is Diabolic Plum. I'm still shaking my paints. My husband got me this cool paint shaker, but I've got it set up over by the paint rack. So in theory, when I grab a paint, I can shake it. That was my idea. I think it would probably make more sense to actually be on my paint desk, but to be completely honest, my paint desk is like an absolute insane mess right now. It looks like this, right? Like it looks like this is my streaming desk. This one should be basically clean, and it's a mess, so you can only imagine what my actual painting desk looks like right now. Yeah, it's atrocious right now. So I think maybe once I clean that up, I'll move it over to my actual paint desk. But right now I have it over by the paint stand. It's very nice. It's a cool thing. It like spins ball bearings around and moves the ball bearings inside the paint around and vibrates the paint. It's a cool idea. So that's hooked up but not over here, so you'll still see me like jerking off the air with my paint bottles. Which, to be honest, it does make a little bit of noise, so I don't know if I'll use it on stream either way. So like I don't ever really want to paint airbrush on stream, right, because it makes noise. So man, I love this Diabolic Plum. So many of these new Army Painter Fanatic paints are just so nice. To be totally honest though, I do not have room for any more paints. I have legitimately a store paint rack, and it's almost filled, like completely. So I need to stop buying paints. until I use some up. But to be honest, even these paints, right, even if they're like $4 a bottle or whatever, they last so long, right? Like, I saw a whole bunch of paints my parents gave me during the pandemic. Like, and they're just still kicking, you know? I've only really had to buy duplicates of some colors I use a lot, like Strong Tone, that Kobold Skin paint, a couple different silvers, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Stuff that like every model could have on it. Even the browns, I've been kind of going from one brown to a different brown, kind of trying them all out. So even that, like, I'm not like, oh, every one of this army's boots has to be the same color. You know, there's a slight variation in there because of that. Is Skeletor's belt purple? I think so, right? Her belt is purple? Okay. His everything is purple. So my plan for next week is to play some Frostgrave. Now that might get turned into playing Stargrave instead, but my plan is to start a campaign of something. And I've kind of been working on a bunch of Frostgrave guys, and that sounds like fun to me. So, and I kind of made that little wizard I showed off on stream and all. Now I could also just take that and take all those minis and play Fantasy Quest with it, because I built all the bad guys for that kind of in the same groups as Fantasy Quest minis. So we could do something like that and play like a hybrid maybe, which I think might be kind of fun. Maybe we play like Fantasy Quest, but with like some additional loot rolls, like what you would get in Frostgrave. I really do enjoy Frostgrave though, and I haven't played in a long time. So yeah. The reason I said maybe we'll play Stargrave instead is because I have the Death Vector book coming. I pre-ordered it and it has shipped. And if it wasn't Sunday, it would actually be here today because it arrived in Honolulu yesterday, but not early enough for it to go out on delivery. So yeah, so I think that's going to get here tomorrow. So maybe that'll screw up my whole Frostgrave plan when I see the Death Vector book. But either way, once I get that, we're going to do a box, like an unboxing for the new automatons. Because man, those are freaking sweet. They're just super, super sweet. I cannot wait to get building some of those. I think we're going to do an unboxing of those and then like maybe a kit bash build with some of the War Games Atlantic zombies. And try to come up with some for Death Vector. So super looking forward to that. Yeah. I will say I got an award at work. So I used a portion of that to pick myself up some of the like the multi-part plastic kits. So I try to like play something or get some different models kind of like every year. So I did it with Conquests and I did it with Kings of War and what is that one called? Fallout, right? And it's kind of a nice little like thing, like a little expansion to like get into this game for a year. And if I really like it, I can kind of like stick with it, kind of thing, right? I still love the Conquest models, right? Every now and then I'll see one I'm just like, oh, I need to pick that up because it's so cool. You know, War Machine's kind of in that boat where I'm like, the models are so cool, but I don't know if I'll ever actually get to play the game, but I definitely want to paint the models. You know what I mean? And really interesting, the War Machine models and the Conquest monies are very equally sized. They're like very similar scale. So if you wanted to like play Frostgrave or something with slightly bigger minis, combining those two ranges would be really, really good. I'll grab some in a sec to show you what I mean. Because I didn't even think about it until I put them on my shelf, and then I had two of them standing next to each other, and they're just like really perfectly sized. I'm going to finish up Skeletor's purple here. And then I'll grab them and show you. I'll actually paint in behind all the hood there. In purple as well. Okay. Alright, we'll set Skeletor down for a second. And let me grab the guys I'm talking about. God, these are all such freaking cool minis, man. Oh, they're so cool. Okay, so this is a Conquest Tolamark, something like that. This is part of their like undead kind of Greek and Roman line. They're kind of Byzantinian, I guess. They're super awesome, but look at that shit. They are fantastically scaled for each other, the War Machine minis and the Conquest guys. Because I was like, man, the War Machine minis are a little bigger. It makes them really fun to paint, but also, like, it makes them kind of hard to use, right? Like, they're just clearly different scale, right? It's not like just this guy's really tall. But yeah, these guys are, like, fantastically scaled with each other. All right, here's one of the undead Varangian guards. They're just absolutely wonderful. And then even look at this, right? So this is one of the oh, what are they called? They're literally called like undead meat. That's what their name translates to. But they're a wonderful, wonderful minis, right? And then look at this shit. Right? Like this big fish monster is perfectly scaled with those. Like absolutely just wonderful. So yeah, if you wanted to play like a slightly bigger scale game and use Conquest guys and War Machine guys, they would go wonderfully together. God, now I want to do that. Fuck. It's the problem. I kind of like want to do everything. It sucks. Right? Because like everything takes energy, you know, and you don't have energy to do everything. You know, but I'm like, man, it would be really cool to play like to take those pirate troll guys and do like Rangers of Shadow Deep with them. That would be super cool. And have them fight a whole bunch of different horrors from Conquest. You know? But there's just not enough time in the day, man. I tell you. Even when there is, like, you gotta spend so much energy just recovering for like the next week, you know? one of the side effects of, like, I don't know, like neurodivergence, right? Like you have to spend a lot of energy to recover, and a lot of people don't get that. And even the things you might do to recover might take energy, right? Like, because I find painting very relaxing, but it still takes energy. You know, it's not like it recharges me. It relaxes me, you know, and there's kind of like a slight difference there. All right, we're gonna pick out some little bits of gold on Skeletor here, just so I can add some more color to him, because he's kind of a little bit monotone without it, to be honest. So do things like his belt and the gem on the middle of his chest, that kind of stuff. Just because it'll give him a little more color variation and stuff, and I think that'll be nice. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's just keep going on Skeletor for a minute. There it is. Okay. This is Bone White from Vallejo. Hey, guess what color I'm going to use this for? If you guess bone, you're right. We're going to do... I know this is going to take more than one coat, so we'll do Skeletor's face now, and then we'll hit it again in a minute. No questions. Do we want his neck to be the same color? I'm kind of feeling no, to be honest. I think his neck should probably be blue. Wow, I am shocked how much that little change just makes that feel like Skeletor. Holy shit. That's kind of crazy. I did screw up and hit some of his hood, but we'll fix that in a second after we let that dry. All right, next up, let's do some browns. So I've got Brigadine Brown here. This is really nice, just dark brown color. It looks a lot more, I don't know, washed out and gray than how it actually ends up being. You just end up getting this really dark brown, which is nice, right? So He-Man's panties here, they're this color. So we'll go ahead and we'll touch all those up, and then we'll go through and we'll do the gold on him and Teela. And I need to see if Teela's got any brown in her. But yeah, it's just a nice kind of dark brown. Rich is the wrong color, because rich is usually associated with kind of like a more of a warm tone. This, to be honest, is kind of like a cool brown. I used this color recently in coordination with some blacks to paint the, well, not blacks, super dark grays, to paint some of the rogues gallery that I built up for Frostgrave. I should grab those here in a sec. There we go. All right, we'll set him down for a second. Let me grab my rogues gallery, guys. So I've got 15 of these guys plus my mage. And my idea is that I'll kind of roll randomly and see which ones go with my character on like the Frostgrave missions. So here's my mage. with his magic spell book and his blue robes and his kind of wolfy raccoon colors. And then I've got a whole bunch of these kind of like rogues gallery kind of characters, right? So like that guy's pants are the brigading color. Here's an actual rogue. And I made these all out of the Frostgrave Soldiers boxes and parts from the crewman for Ghost Archipelago. I think Ghost Archipelago would have been way more popular if it had like a different name. To be honest, I think the name killed it. Because the idea of playing Frostgrave with pirates and stuff is super cool. And I feel like it didn't. I feel like the name kind of murdered it. It doesn't really sell what it is, you know? This just thing is slightly too long. But got 15 of those guys, and they're going to be like my like crew guys, right? But if you want to see like scale, right? Like clearly these minis are different scales. You know what I mean? And I love both of these scales, but they're clearly different scales, you know? So it's kind of interesting, like, you know, when you have a bunch of miniatures, it's like which ones really kind of fit together, you know what I mean? And that's kind of interesting. Alright, so He-Man. Let's do his gold. Actually, let's do his silver first. Actually, do we still have the gold out? Which one of these is wet? Is it that one? Yeah, is it this one? Yeah, it's that one. Yeah, it's that one. Let's actually see if we can do a little bit of his gold, as we still have some gold out. Right? No, it's actually mostly dry. Okay, well, we'll put this little bit on and then we'll switch to doing his silver. Okay. Alright, so the reason I want to do his silver first is actually because I need to get behind his arm to paint the shield. So ooh, that made a mess. We can actually touch up Skeletor silver too while we're doing this. Man, you really can just tell that I just like painting the bad guys better than the good guys, huh? Because I'm like, oh yeah, and then we'll use that for Skeletor too. So I think I showed them off last time, but to go with my Frostgrave stuff, I'm making some like racist knights. So some like Scarlet Crusade kind. Where, you know, they're like probably doing a good thing, but they're doing it either in a bad way or way too zealously, you know? And I thought that would be fun. Because I think my Frostgrave campaign, I think I'm going to roll up a bad guy set from the Mortal Enemies. And I think what I'm going to do is use a bunch of undead. Because I did a bunch of ghouls recently and haven't gotten to use them in anything. And it's a real shame because I really enjoyed working on them. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'll roll up a bunch of ghoul enemies and like a ghoul enemy group, stuff like that. And then when the random monsters can show up, one of the options will be some of these racist knights, and that'll be kind of fun because then they'll have a reason to attack either side. You know what I mean? Because they'll be like, oh, we hate mages. Oh, we hate skeletons too. Fuck it, you know. I think that's kind of fun. But yeah, so I picked up a bunch of those multi-part plastics recently, and man, they really are a lot of fun. They're just really, they get the brain juices flowing a way lots of other kits don't. You know, like you start building them and you just want to tell little stories of your little men, you know? A lot more so than like when you're building something for like 40k or even Conquest or even, you know, there's awesome the awesome War Machine minis I was just showing off, right? Like when you build it and like you have to put the character into it, I don't know, just something about that just makes you want to tell a little story with your little dudes. And that's really enjoyable, you know. All right, that's all the silver at him. Let's touch up the silver on our boy Skeletor here. Which there isn't a ton of, but just want to make sure the pieces we have that are silver look nice. And it looks like he's got a couple tiny little details here, so we'll do things like pick that out. Yeah, I think that'll be good. I'm kind of tempted to pick out some of the stuff like the straps on the feet and stuff like that, but I don't know. I don't think we'll do that. Okay, cool. Cool. All right. Oh, let's look at Teela again real quick. Okay, so she's got brown boots and kind of reddish brown hair. And then she has gold and white clothes. Okay, so I'll go through the brown. So we'll hit that first and then go from there. Because I'm half tempted just to finish up Skeletor. Just because Skeletor is more fun to paint than the others. The bad guys are always just more fun, you know. But we'll get Teela squared away a little bit here. Because to be completely honest, I really don't understand how her clothes works on this model. So when we start putting some color on it, it'll help. It'll help it make sense in my brain, I think. It's in the gray for some reason. I just can't see a lot of the details on her. I think she's basically wearing like a one-piece swimsuit. Yeah, see, painting it white pulls out some of the details so we can see it a little bit better. There we go. She's getting there slowly but surely. But yeah, so for my racist knights, I'm using the Wargame Atlantic Knights and Foot Knights kits. I actually have a mounted knights coming too, so I should be able to have like mounted knight guys show up, which will be kind of fun. And yeah, they're really fun kits. They kit bash together really well, and they produce really cool looking like what I would call like early medieval knights. Now, I'm not a historical player in any regard, right? Like, I'm not over here researching shit for the Barons' War and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, that's not me, right? Like, that could be fun. I could enjoy that, I think, but it's not something I'm like instantly drawn to, you know. So I can't say if the knights are like historically accurate or if like they fit a certain period, but how arms and armor work in my brain, and this is probably wrong, so take it for a grain of salt, is that there was a lot of like chainmail in the beginning of like the medieval era, and then eventually that got replaced with, oh, I must have picked up some skin color somewhere. Oh, interesting. She sold some wet skin color somewhere. Weird. Okay. But yeah, all the chainmail ended up getting replaced and or mixed in with plate, is my understanding. Now that's probably wrong, but when I see guys covered in chainmail only, or with very little plate, like with like a helmet and that's it, my brain instantly goes to like early medieval because of that. So, like I said, that's probably wrong, but that's what they look like to me. Because they have a lot of chainmail and like a couple pieces of plate. So yeah, so like, I don't know. But they also kind of, in my brain, makes them look like crusading knights, right? Like, these seem like the kind of guys that would like storm into the Middle East and murder a bunch of people, you know? That's what they look like to me. So the fact that I'm choosing them to be my like Scarlet Crusade guys kind of makes sense, you know? Okay, it's Teela's boots. I do want to use a different brown for her hair because her hair is more red. So what we're going to do, I think, is we're going to pull out the gold. I think we'll do a little bit of gold, I think. We'll do some gold touch up, and we'll do gold on He-Man and Teela. Skeletor's gold even need touch up? I don't think so. Maybe we'll hit the staff again just because it looks a little uneven. I do have that little bit of a nub there. I could remove that, but honestly, I think it's okay. Yeah, we'll just hit those to get a little more color on them. All right. Oh, let's see. Well, He-Man, we know his bracers and his belt are gold. So let's hit those, and then we'll figure out how to do the gold on Teela. Alright, we're going to have to paint He-Man's skin again, but that's fine. We knew there would be little mistakes. There we go. And then we've got this other bracer. Bonk, 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 bonk. And I think we'll actually hit some of the outside of He-Man's shield too, just to get some more color out there. Oh, and I guess the H on his chest too, huh? Or I guess it's more of like a Germanic cross, really. I don't know why I thought he had an H on his chest. Yeah, I'll hit that. And then I kind of want to hit just this this part here in the middle, the shield. Oh, these inner parts, those are wood. Interesting, interesting. So I just grabbed some leather brown from Army Painter. Right there. I think we'll try to paint these in. This is the kind of detail where you should paint this first and then paint the outer piece really after that. But this probably means the back of the shield is supposed to be wood colored too. Maybe we'll take a look at that too. Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay. And then we'll leave the connectors and the edges in silver. This is definitely a detail you don't have to paint in. But if you were to do it first, before you painted the silver, it would have been a billion times easier. Alright. Now, I'm going to use that same brown for Teela's hair. And we'll see if it looks like a good color or if it's not red enough, because I think it's not going to be red enough now that I'm starting to paint it on. But we'll double check some of the art. Some of the art had her with really red hair, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. But anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. I apologize. And it's probably Frostgrave, to be honest, because I'm also working on a bunch of like cave terrain from that Caves Kickstarter that I talked about before, which is actually from this company, which is pretty cool. I have probably about a third of that done, but if I'm totally honest, that's really for Dead Man's Hand. But I could definitely use it for Frostgrave too, because it's kind of like meaty connections and it's like a big old meat monster cave. I showed it off and pulled some out last time, and I'll definitely be doing more of that. I'm also tempted just to pull out the stone one, because I got the like all-in pledge for that Kickstarter, so I've got all the packs, but I'm also tempted just to do the stone one and maybe have my entire Frostgrave campaign be like underground in like caverns under Frostad. I think that idea is kind of fun, to be honest. Felstad. Sorry, it's not Frostad, it's Felstad. But yeah, I kind of like that idea, so that might be something that I might start up later this afternoon too. I actually haven't done a shit ton of hobby today, or this weekend. Usually I do a ton of hobby. I actually haven't done a lot this weekend. I've been playing an old MMO with my husband. That was like the first game we played together ever. It's been really fun. I've been really enjoying it. I don't know what kind of legs it has. Like, this old MMO isn't going to be like the game we play forever and ever, But definitely had a lot of fun with it yesterday. I made made the same class I had like 15 years ago, and we were playing. We got all the way to like get my favorite armor piece and everything. It was really fun. Leveling and stuff is definitely much faster now. Even though it's like a classic realm, it's still way faster. Because Ion is the game we were playing. And it's a Korean-based game, so it usually means there's a lot of grinding. So like I have very vivid memories of having bird flu and sitting there with like 102 temperature, and because I can't sleep because I have fucking bird flu, grinding Ion. And that was very fun, very, very like fun kind of nostalgic memories there. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. That spent majority of yesterday we spent doing that. So okay, now we have to figure out, well, one, let me touch up her silver sword, I guess, and then we can figure out what we want to do for the rest of the gold on her. What parts are gold, what parts are not, kind of thing. Because she's got vampiracers, and she has kind of this like golden armor plate-ish thing. Man, it really wants to focus on He-Man. No, we're looking at Teela. Stop trying to look at He-Man. Okay. Yeah, she's got like kind of a gold belt. And then she has kind of more, her hair is kind of more red. Kind of like the brown hair, though, to be honest. Alright, well I guess we'll try doing some of the gold armor stuff and see how that works out, and then go from there. So she has kind of this like belt thing, and then she has like a booba piece that's in gold as well. And she's got like a golden belt too. Okay. Yeah, her design and details are much different than the other guys. Probably because her and Evil Lyn shared a mold. Evil Lyn has very similar design, right? Like on her armor and body because of that. And all the other guys kind of have a lot of the same body, and a lot of the same legs, but then like some variation. Alright, I gotta get some more gold out. Let's see. think we'll do her vamp bracers in gold too. I really got to lean in for her. Because her details are so much tinier. I mean, they're not like unnecessarily tiny, okay, but definitely got to get in closer than the other guys. Oh, buddy. But yeah, so didn't get a whole lot of hobby done this weekend, but had a very nice weekend nonetheless. It was very enjoyable. There's a good bit of like nostalgic fun kind of going back to a game like that, you know, one that you remember and kind of have like pleasant memories with, and you know, there's something kind of like inherently enjoyable about that. Like the whole time we were playing, like we weren't doing anything like exciting or meaningful, but I found myself smiling the whole time, you know. Like we were just doing stupid quests and killing mobs and stuff. Like, yeah, it was just fun. Okay, and then I think we'll do her headband in gold too, because she has like a headband. Kind of like tiara, like Evil Lynn has. There we go. All right. Okay. Alright, well I still have a bunch of the white out, so we might as well do some white touch-up while we are here. And then we'll figure out our orders for touch-ups after that. So we're going to need some skin touch-up on her and He-Man. Skeletor needs some hood touch-up, and I think some face touch-up. Oh, her dress actually goes to the slightly upper back. I thought it was like right at the top of her butt, but it's not. It's actually a line. It goes to her like lower back and then up. Okay, there we go. All right. So we'll set her aside for a sec, and let's see. I guess purple touch up on Skeletor. Okay, so he's gonna need some skin touch up too. That's fine, but good to know. Oh, he actually needs a tiny bit of silver touch up too. Okay, we can do that too. Yeah, see with purple, when you're doing touch up, if you have a lighter color underneath, you have to make sure you really coat it again. Or what ends up happening is you end up with like kind of a pink highlight, and that's no good. Okay. Oh, man, I forgot to paint an entire side of one of his bracers. Wow. That's a mistake. But, thankfully, mistakes are easy to fix when you're painting. You just go back and hit it again, and you're good. Alright. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that for purple touch-up. Let's see if any of that silver is still wet. It is. Okay, good. So I got to get the back of the sword here. Bonk. Okay. And then, let's see. I guess we'll do his blue. And that way Skeletor can just wait for washes after that. And we'll touch up the other two. We also have to do He-Man's hair. That's something I forgot to do. So it's important to remember. Just making sure we have a good coat on everything. We've got kind of good lines between the different colors and stuff, right? The lines between colors kind of being a little more sharp. It's one of the things that generally makes a model look nicer, even if it's not amazingly painted. Having a sharpness and kind of like no spillover is one of the things that, like, I don't know, our brain really likes, I think, because it's easier to compartmentalize and understand when the shapes match the colors. I think it's one of the reasons why people have such a hard time painting Tyranids. And I know it's one of the reasons I had such a hard time painting Tyranids, is that a lot of the kind of like natural animal patterns and stuff don't actually do that. They very rarely have clear delineated lines, but those lines are what our brain likes, so. Yeah, see, like I hit the very bottom of his cloak there, like his hood, and it's gonna bug the shit out of me if I don't fix it. There we go. And I've got a little bit of purple on his skull, and that needs to get fixed too. So yeah, fuck it, we'll just finish Skeletor up completely here. There we go. There he goes. All right. Now we will set him aside and let him dry. And we'll finish up the other two. Oh, and then we'll let them all sit for a couple minutes, and then we'll do washes. All right. He-Man's hair. We're going to use Fiendish Yellow. This is the same color we use for Man-at-Arms as armor. And it's a nice yellow color. And the same color I use for all the cloth on my Skaven. It should make a nice blonde hair color. Yeah, look at that. That's looking pretty damn good already. I have the power. So I was going to paint these guys all up last weekend. He-Man and all. I was going to do them on Memorial Day. But honestly, my brain took a really big L. And I spent a good part of the day cuddled up in bed watching old memes because my brain was just being dumb. A hard weekend for a lot of folks. My parents lost one of their dogs. Bad time. So I didn't feel like painting heroes when I wasn't feeling heroic. So all right, he needs skin touch up now, so we'll do that, and then we can set him aside, and we can also touch up Teela's skin and see if she needs any other color touch up as well. Yeah. Then we'll hang out a little bit while we wait. Maybe we'll open up some of those floor tiles that I was talking about. I want to give them like 5 or 10 minutes, you know, to dry and cure a little before I cover them and wash. I have the power. All right. And that, boys and girls, and everything else, that is He-Man. Now he's just going to chill and wait for washes. And this gold's going to go away because it's freaking the camera out. Alright, now let's touch up Teela's skin. And then while we do that, we can see if she needs any other touch up. I'm kind of thinking no, to be honest. She needs some real skin touch up though, for sure. But the rest of her colors are looking pretty good. Yeah. These minis have definitely been fun. I kind of wonder what else is in the line. If there's like a modulock or something, right? One of the people that hung out on stream while I've been painting these mentioned that there was a Cringer, but it was a convention exclusive, which is kind of lame. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like convention exclusives or Kickstarter exclusives or anything like that, right? I don't like to punish people because they weren't there at the time the thing occurred. I don't think that's very fun. You know? It's not very cash money, you know? I want people 10 years later to be able to look at it and go, oh man, I wanted a Cringer or whatever, you know, and be able to get one. Because I want everybody to be enjoy their toys, you know? Alright, so there she is, all done. And now we'll give them a couple seconds to chill. And we will look at some of these awesome floor pieces. So, the ones that I have already been working on are these guys. So these are like monster floor tiles. So they're like teeth and claws and eyeballs and all that kind of stuff. You kind of lay them out and let you make like floor tiles for that kind of theme, you know. But there's actually 2 other themes in the box that I got. But man, some of these pieces are freaking cool. Like, look at that. That's freaking cool. So I also have the demonic cave set, which is like kind of like evil caves with like chains and lava bridges and all that kind of stuff. This one would look awesome if you painted it in black and then put it over top of like a lava mat. This would be super fucking dope if you did that. And then there's 3 expansions each for each of these. So there's also this one, which is like just rocky caves. Kind of more like natural looking caves. So there's things like a spider lair, a torture cavern, and a goblin cavern, and that kind of stuff. So yeah. So I'm kind of thinking of doing my entire Frostgrave campaign like underground, using these floor tiles. I think that sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do something like actually play some Grimdark Future Firefight with the new automatons first, while I finish up this kind of terrain. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my terrain sets kind of to match with each other, and kind of like so they can all kind of like interlock and go together. Alright, so let's see what we get here. We get, wow, 7 runners. Okay. We get 3 of that one. And oh, is it just 7 of the same? Holy shit, that's a lot of floor tiles, man. Wow, okay. I did not realize it was that many. Crazy. And I guess the other one has all the walls and stuff in it. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Just really cool, like rock pattern and kind of dingy cave stuff. To be honest, you could actually kind of just use these as is. You don't even need to paint these. They're just rock color, man. They're already. They will look a lot cooler if you paint them, though, obviously. So yeah, so let's get the other. Oh. I should finish my meat set first, is what I should do. But let's open it up. Let's open it up and look at it. Let's see. Oh, interesting. That box didn't come with any clips in it. Fascinating. Huh? So this one comes with 3 different sets of clips. And then we get... Wow, these are really cool. Look at all the stalactites and stalagmites. That's super dope. You get 2 of those runners. You get 2 of this runner. You know, to be honest, have these to mix in with my meat floors would be kind of cool. Because then it would be like sections that haven't been overtaken yet. Oh, and you could even do a thing where like you start off in the caves and then like slowly like it becomes more meat floor. Oh, that's really fun. You could totally do that. God, it makes me wonder if I should do some of these meat floors in like the gray and then just paint in the meat parts. So that there's kind of like a transition, a set of like transition tiles. Man, oh, these cool ideas. Anyway, they're super cool. I cannot recommend this terrain enough. It's good stuff. As I punch the camera, I apologize. There we go. See, the problem is I've already sprayed all of the meat floors. So I'd have to respray some of them in gray instead. Might be really cool though. I'll think about that. Alright, let's do our washes now. You can hear how empty my strong tone is getting. I need to get a new one of these, like ASAP. Okay. 1, 2. I'm gonna want it to be a little extra thin today, I think. I said, yeah, we're gonna need to get a new one. That's the last of my strong tone, baby. Okay, let's get getting. I'm just gonna slap this on everything. And I'll just add some nice variation and some nice color difference. I've been kind of debating using like a universal wash recipe like Sonic Sledgehammer does. Like, I love Sonic Sledgehammer stuff. He does such a great job. His videos are awesome, and he just seems like a legit cool dude. And he has this, like, universal wash that he calls Marine Juice. Kind of debating switching to that, maybe. It's this, like what I just did, but with, like, a little bit more black in it. Or with any black in it. I didn't put any black in it. So I think it is just ends up being a little darker, so it doesn't stain brown as much and doesn't make things as warm. I think that's what it does. So now I do normally like the staining of brown because I like it on weapons and stuff. I think it looks really cool. But I don't know. I've been debating giving it a try. Maybe when I pick up another thing of strong tone, I'll grab a thing of dark tone as well. Yeah. Yeah. I do still have the terrain in this box to do up, but honestly it doesn't look too bad. And I don't think it'll make very interesting like painting on the stream. It's going to be just a lot of dry brushing and stuff because it's a lot of like ruins and rocks and stuff. But I do want to do it up because I think my plan for this box is pretty much to make sure I have it all ready for the next time my family comes to Hawaii. And what I'm going to do is make them play it with me. I think that's my plan for it. Since they're the ones that got it for me, I'm going to be like, yep, you guys have to play He-Man with me. It's going to be their curse. No, it should be a fun game. Okay. Get some more wash off his face. Alright, we'll set him aside. And we will wash up Teela. Teela bathwater incoming. There's another streamer recently who did that bathwater thing. It was like she made candles out of it or something. Just strange stuff. The internet is a weird place. It's a fascinating place, though. And it's definitely filled with some greatness. I mean, the other day when I was feeling super bad, what did I do? Turned to memes from the early 2000s. Because I know them and they help me relax. And yeah. Do I think anyone else on the planet is listening to the 10-hour remix of Look at My Horse? My horse is amazing. Probably not. But you know what? Helps me, so fuck it. There we go. Now let's go through and... Oh man, I was really zoomed out this whole time. I apologize. There we go. I guess I wasn't really doing anything but put a wash on. So not really anything exciting. My goal is to go through and clean up some of the wash now. Just where there's too much of it, just tap it. And pull it off via adhesion. Adhesion. Alright. And that is our He-Man lot done. We've done all He-Man. Let's take a look at our guys from today. Oh, here's Evelyn as well. Forgot about her. So we've got Skeletor. Yeah. Looks pretty awesome, not gonna lie. Very Skeletor-y. And we've got I have the power. He-Man himself. I'm going to pull some of the wash off his face because there's a little bit too much. Yeah, obviously all the wash is not fully dry yet, but I've got a good idea still for what they'll look like. Da-da-da-da! There is He-Man. And then last but not least, we've got Teela as well. There we go. And that is the whole like starter bundle that my parents got me for my birthday. I think my favorites are definitely these three. Partly I think just because I like these characters more than the others. Come on. But their colors are also very different from everybody else and kind of bright. And I think that's pretty fun. I think my favorite is Merman with his weird raccoon face. I think this pose is a lot of fun, and the color contrast is really nice. So yeah, so that's He-Man. And with that, I'm going to take a little break. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a good one. And